Coming up next on WeatherView, Hurricane Gilbert, the strongest hurricane on record, and during just 7 days, killing more than 60 people and leading to billions of dollars in damage in more than 7 countries. The United States was lucky. We did not sustain a direct hit. But what happened to the countries that did? And what are the chances that a hurricane this strong will hit us? We'll answer those questions and talk to hurricane expert John Hope next on WeatherView. Good evening and welcome to WeatherView. I'm Liz Jarvis.
And I'm Dennis Smith.
Our topic tonight is Hurricane Gilbert. Dennis and I covered Hurricane Gilbert live from the Gulf Coast last week.
And in fact, we had a crew that moved up and down the coast and through Texas and down into Mexico, consisting of photographers Steve Angel and David Neal and producer Linda Lloyd, as well as Liz and myself.
We'll be talking to hurricane expert John Hope in just a few minutes on his perspective on Gilbert. But first, let's go back in time and trace Gilbert's history. All eyes were on the tropics last Friday night when a strong depression formed. By Saturday morning, it was classified a tropical storm and named Gilbert. That evening, wind strength picked up and Gilbert became a hurricane. After leaving a swath of destruction through Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and the Dominican Republic, Hurricane Gilbert struck Jamaica on Monday. With sustained winds of 115 miles per hour and gusts of 140, Gilbert was then a Category 3 hurricane. At least 26 lives were lost, and the damage Gilbert did to Jamaica has been estimated at $8 billion. On Tuesday, the eye of the hurricane passed within 20 miles of the Grand Cayman Islands, where wind speeds reached 130 miles per hour. Heavy amounts of rain fell, damaging a good part of this tiny British colony, but careful preparation saved most of the island residents. Although damage was estimated in the millions, only 6 injuries were reported. Gilbert's next target was Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. By then, sustained winds were up to 175 miles per hour, making Gilbert the first Category 5 hurricane to make landfall in Western Hemisphere since Hurricane Camille in 1969. The popular vacation spots of Cancun and Cozumel sustained a direct hit. At least 17 were reported dead, and again, the damage was in the millions. But Gilbert wasn't finished yet. After spending some of its energy over land, Gilbert took to the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico and aimed its violence on the mainland. The eye of Gilbert made landfall in Mexico about 120 miles south of the U.S. border. And on Friday night, it was classified a Category 3 hurricane with sustained winds of 120 miles per hour. Mexico's greatest toll of human life came after the storm churned inland and unleashed massive flooding in Monterrey, Mexico. At times, it appeared that Hurricane Gilbert would turn to the north, thus posing a major threat to the residents of the Gulf Coast from Mississippi to South Texas. Time for us to take action here at the Weather Channel. As Hurricane Gilbert was lashing the Cayman Islands Tuesday, I left the Weather Channel along with crew members Steve Angel and David Neal to track Gilbert along the Gulf Coast. Already by Wednesday, residents of coastal Louisiana were moving out.
This one here, it's a monster, and everybody down here is concerned about it. You know, there's people renting trucks, starting to haul everything out.
Staying in contact through phone reports almost every hour, we headed towards Corpus Christi, Texas, where Red Cross officials were getting ready.
We had anticipated originally that we may have to house 12,000, 14,000 people. It looks like right now we're talking more in the neighborhood, maybe 2,000 or 3,000 people.
From there, it was on to the shore of Padre Island, where we met up with Dennis Smith, and we began our live video coverage of the storm as the effects of Gilbert started to impact the coast with high seas and gusty winds. In the Brownsville area, we encountered the worst weather conditions at Port Isabel and South Padre Island, with gusty winds making it extremely difficult to just stand. By Saturday morning, the danger had passed, however, and it was pretty much business as usual in Brownsville.
While Liz and I were in Kingsville, Texas, we met up with the storm chasers from the National Severe Storms Laboratory, and they've been pretty well known for tornado chasing, but this time we found them in the middle of Hurricane Gilbert.
4, 3, 2, 1, launch away.
This radiosound balloon is being launched to take soundings in the mid-level atmosphere. It's part of the first scientific interception of a hurricane from a surface vantage point. The radiosonde on this balloon is a particularly sophisticated long-range navigational type. Its information helps the storm chasers from the National Severe Storms Lab develop a profile of the atmosphere and tells them what happens when a hurricane makes landfall. The scientists are operating out of a truck that's outfitted with equipment to measure electrical activity in the storm spiral bands. The vehicle also has instruments on board to receive the transmissions. Dr. David Rust is in charge of the chase team. He's used to chasing tornadoes, but hurricanes present some unique problems.
It's a little different. I think overall it may be slightly riskier because the area over which the severe problems can occur is much larger. And from what I've seen thus far, I think our biggest problem is going to be mobility. So we're trying to make very sure that we make safe decisions early on so that we can stay put if necessary to ride out the most intense part of the storm.
There's very little research information about hurricanes as they make landfall. Reconnaissance planes don't fly in a storm over land, so this chase effort should provide a lot of new information. And though it's primarily for research, the data the team gathered Friday as Gilbert came inland was also received by the National Hurricane Center in Miami as well. And though the chase team was still about 100 miles north of the Gilbert Eye, they expected to get some very good information from those powerful spiral bands that were expanding out as much as 250 miles from the center. I guess, Liz, probably the most thing that amazed me the most out of covering all this was the evacuation of people, how they responded to the warnings and how they evacuated the area and got out of there.
Of course, this is my second trip in 2 weeks, and we were all worried that Hurricane Florence's impact or lack of impact on the Gulf Coast would kind of lull the residents into a false sense of security and have them staying in the coastal areas where they should have evacuated. But that was not the case. Since the media reports were out on Hurricane Gilbert, the fact that it was such a dangerous storm, people were taking action.
They certainly were. And now let's find out exactly where Hurricane Gilbert, or we should say remnants of Gilbert, is right now. It continues to move on up into northern Texas. Boy, it really moved on out in the last 24 hours. Now in a position around Abilene, Texas. It will continue to pull on off towards the north-northeast rapidly, and because it will be pulling off so quickly, it looks like most of the rainfall amounts will be fairly light across Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, and Illinois ahead of a front. But it looks like also there could be a little bit of some severe thunderstorms yet this afternoon and evening with a tornado watch out, Liz, for areas of Oklahoma and northern Texas for the balance of the afternoon until 10 o'clock tonight.
Remnants of Gilbert, not over yet.
That's right.
Stay tuned, and remember, you can call 1-800-541-6056. We'll be back with hurricane expert John Hope in our next segment. Stay tuned.
A cheese riddle. Hey, Mom, what do you get when you add grated Parmesan to ordinary vegetable soup? A super kid's lunch. Remember, cheese makes it taste better, so don't forget the cheese.
Doctors measure back pain by how far you can bend. Extra Strength Dones is made for back pain relief with an ingredient these pain relievers don't have. Dones makes back pain go away. Extra Strength Dones, made for back pain relief.
And his company was just purchased for $10 million. 34, and she was just made vice president of a well-known bank. 45 and sailing the Pacific for a year. You may want wonder how these people do it, but they're just like you and me, sharing the same desire for success. And while there's no one formula for success, there is one magazine with information to improve your portfolio, your career, your lifestyle. With your paid subscription to Fortune, you receive the Investor's Guide, plus this free Fortune briefcase with multifunctional pockets and solar calculator, which is being used by this 47-year-old president of a successful medical company. Call 1-800-727-2800. Get 17 issues at almost 50% off the cover price, payable in 3 installments of just $9.97 each. That's something even highly successful people can't turn away from. 1-800-727-2800.
Welcome back to WeatherView. I'm Liz Jarvis. Here with me now is our own hurricane expert, John Hope. And you know, John, all this week we were hearing about the possibility that this storm might turn to the north, possibly threatening the western Gulf of Mexico, but it never did.
Well, we never really thought that that was any more than a possibility, Liz. If we look at the track, we find out that the track was a remarkably straight track all the time toward the west-northwest from the time it developed in the eastern Caribbean Sea, as a matter of fact, until it made landfall in Mexico. Now, we were, to be sure, looking at some computer models as the storm passed the Yucatan Peninsula that suggested that the storm might turn more toward the northwest. And the reason that I believe that it didn't do that was that this was just an enormous storm. And what it did, it threw a whole lot of very warm air up into the atmosphere and the very high levels. And we had a big high pressure aloft, and that actually helped steer it more toward the west itself. And the computer models didn't really handle that all that well. But we never thought that this was more than a possibility from the time that the storm left the Yucatan Peninsula, showing the probabilities and all that. It always said that the most severe threat was to northeastern Mexico and the extreme southern part of Texas.
Well, of course, as you pointed out before, these coastal areas are so overdeveloped at this point. The evacuation routes aren't there. So even if the possibility exists, it's a good idea for these residents to leave.
Well, it is, but I think in retrospect that we need to know that after all, the eye passed about 120 miles south of Brownsville, Texas when it came inland, and at that point it was the nearest to the United States. Now that is way outside the area of the strongest hurricane force winds. The eye was about 30 miles in diameter at that time, and let's say the eye wall was about 15 miles thick or so, and that means that Brownsville, Texas, in other words, the nearest part of the United States to the hurricane, was at least 70 or 80 miles north of the eye wall itself.
So that's good news for
it was for them, and they did not score a direct hit, and they need to know that the core of the hurricane was indeed in Mexico, not in Texas.
Okay. And as far as that's concerned, John, once again, we're going to talk about the fact that the reconnaissance aircraft is very important in tracking these storms so that we can alert the situation to these coastal residents.
We think it's extremely important to have the reconnaissance out there, and we hope that we will not see the end of that. Anybody who has had the responsibility of forecasting for landfalling hurricanes in the United States hopes that we maintain reconnaissance aircraft, because we believe that's the only way that will tell us exactly how strong the hurricane is. That's the thing we worry about the most, because there's a tremendous difference here whether we're talking about a category 3, 4, or 5, and we think the reconnaissance aircraft, we need that to help us do that.
Right, we have a caller on the line from Charleston, South Carolina. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Mr. Hope, what are the chances of a hurricane like Gilbert developing again?
Well, we hope all we have to go is past history, and it's very rare that during a given season that we see 2 hurricanes of this magnitude. And of course, we've never had one of this magnitude before as far as the pressure is concerned. So we think that it's unlikely we'll get one that strong. But we have had seasons where we had 2 or 3 strong hurricanes, so there certainly could be at least one more very strong hurricane.
Right, thank you very much, John. Keep in mind, we'll be back in just a few minutes. You can call 1-800-541-6056 and talk to John Hope live. Stay tuned.
The 1988 Olympic Games. The very best in the world coming together to celebrate human competition. Now you can show your support for our U.S. Olympic team with these exciting Olympic souvenir shirts. Blazoned with the officially licensed designs for the 1988 Seoul Olympics, these durable, high-quality shirts are destined to become collector's items. Through this special TV offer, T-shirts are only $12.95 and sweatshirts are only $19.95. Or get a special deal. Order a T-shirt and a sweatshirt together for only $29.95. Join in the Olympic spirit. Order now.
Credit card and COD orders, call 1-800-367-3400. Specify small, medium, large, or extra large. Each shirt has a complete money-back guarantee, so there's nothing to lose. Call 1-800-367-3400. Support the U.S. Olympic team by wearing these eye-catching, officially licensed Olympic souvenir shirts. Call 1-800-367-3400 right now.
Programming of the Weather Channel is protected under the copyright laws of the United States and is intended solely for the use of our subscribers. Reproduction or other use of this programming without the express written permission of the network is prohibited.
Hurricane Gilbert, our topic tonight, as well as the tropics in general. Our hurricane specialist, John Hope, is here to answer a question from Bedford, Massachusetts. Go ahead. Do we have Bedford? Go ahead, please. All right. John, it appears that we lost that phone call right now. We do have a tropical wave to talk about, however.
Yeah, I know some people were concerned about that. What we do is it's way out there in the Atlantic Ocean. It's about 200 or 2,000 miles rather east of Barbados. It's moving toward the west now about 15 miles an hour. It does seem to be getting a little better organized, and yes, we think it does have a chance to become a tropical storm, but we'd like to take it one step at a time. It's not even a depression yet. It's got to be a depression, then a tropical storm, and then a hurricane. But from what we can see, there is a chance that this would go ahead in the next 2 or 3 days and get better developed, but it's more than a week away from this part of the world, so lots of time to watch it.
All right. We do have a caller on the line from New York City. Go ahead, please.
Hi, my name is Mitchell, and I'm just curious as to the reason why a lot of these tropical storms seem to lose their strength as they travel up the coast. Would you have an answer for that one?
Yes, indeed. They do that because they lose their energy source, which is warm water. Now, what we find is that they need a temperature of 80 or 82 degrees Fahrenheit to go ahead and grow and maintain themselves. But if they go up the East Coast, once they get north of the Gulf Stream, which is about a beam of Hatteras or a little north of there, then they begin to run over colder water, and the water gets colder very quickly. Now, in order for a hurricane to go into New England or Long Island as a major hurricane, it needs to go pretty fast because it's not how far it goes over this colder water, but how long it takes it to do that. So most of the major hurricanes that have hit up in the Northeast have been going very fast, a lot of them 50 miles an hour. One that just goes very slow will die out a whole lot before it gets to Long Island or to New England.
All right, thank you, John. We do have a caller on the line from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Go ahead, please.
Yes, if Hurricane Gilbert was to have come up to Mobile, if it came up that way, the same category hurricane, and there was a strong cold front coming out of the northwest, like it was up in northern Alabama or so, would Hurricane Gilbert roll through the cold front, or would it slide along the cold front?
No, it wouldn't go through the cold front. A hurricane is not going to go through a cold front. It would kind of tend, though, to slide along it. As long as the front was in northern Alabama, by the time the hurricane got to Mobile, the front might not affect it very much. But no, the hurricane will not go through a cold front, but it would be much more likely to just slide up northeastward along it.
The Days in 5-Day Business Planner, which is normally seen at this time, will be shown immediately after WeatherView. We still have time to take some more of your phone calls.
Dan Miller waited a long time to see this. He almost missed it. Not long ago, Dan had a heart attack.
Strength and perseverance.
Since then, his doctor prescribed a regimen of exercise, the right foods, and a Bayer aspirin a day. Studies show aspirin can help prevent a second heart attack.
He was always there when I needed him.
Ask your doctor how Bayer may help you.
I love you, Dad.
Bayer, the wonder drug that works wonders.
The symbol of excellence, the legendary Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost, now recreated by Franklin Mint Precision Models in the official die-cast model authorized by Rolls-Royce Motor Cars Limited. The 1907 Silver Ghost, only one was ever built, and now it's recreated in an incredible model, hand-assembled from more than 127 pieces. Each feature is authentic. The removable spare tire, protectively coated sterling silver-plated trim, pedals, instruments, and engine details precise to the very last spark plug. A stunning collector's piece for home or office. To order, call 1-800-453-5700. Use your credit card or mail $30 and be billed the balance in 3 payments. The imported Silver Ghost with certificate of authenticity. Call 1-800-453-5700. The Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost.
There's nothing quite like owning a Rolls-Royce.
Tropical weather and hurricanes, the major news story across this entire country this week. John Hope with us to answer a call from Parsippany, New Jersey. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Hope, I'd like to ask you a question regarding the impact of wind on people and cars. When children are crossing the street or adults are walking and winds go 40, 50, 60, 70, can they still walk? Can a car still move and drive on pavement if the winds get up to 65? What does that mean for an adult or a child or driving a car? At what point is it impossible?
Well, I wouldn't want to drive a car with 60 or 70 mile-an-hour winds unless I had to. Don't forget that if you're driving your car into the wind, then you have to add the speed of your car to the wind. So if the wind speed was 80 and you were only going 20, that'd be driving into a 100 mile-an-hour wind. So that would be pretty dangerous. And as far as children or even adults, well, once the wind gets up very high, 75 or 100 miles an hour, it's almost impossible to walk. You have to hold on to something, and so it's very difficult indeed. You have to remember that the wind speed, the force varies as not the wind speed itself, but the square of the wind. So if you double the wind speed, then you're increasing the force 4 times. If you triple it, you increase it 9 times.
We have a call on the line from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I'm wondering, could the beneficial remains from Hurricane Gilbert give some relief to the drought-stricken areas of the plains?
Well, it's already done that to some extent, and it continues to do that. We have some very heavy rains now out in the western part of Texas, and they're moving up into Oklahoma, and they will be moving up farther toward the northeast. And there's still an awful lot of rain with the system, but one thing about it now is that it's begun to move faster, and that means that even though the rate of rainfall is still high, it's not going to rain as much in any one place as it did in Mexico, for example, because it's moving too fast. And incidentally, we might point out that the rainfall in the northern part of Mexico there in the mountains was disastrous. We've had reports of 150 or 200 people being killed there, and that means that as far as fatalities are concerned, that the worst thing that happened with the storm happened in Mexico after it was down to a tropical depression. Very, very heavy rains in the mountains caused that.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, John. And keep in mind that John will be monitoring the tropics right here on the Weather Channel. So look for the tropical update every hour on the Weather Channel. John, as far as the Category 5 situation with this hurricane, can you explain to us a little bit how they do categorize hurricanes? Because we've gone from 1 to 5 on this one.
Well, it has to do almost entirely with the wind speed. To be Category 5, you have to have sustained winds of 155 miles an hour or higher. If it's more than 131 miles an hour, it's a Category 4. If it's more than 110 miles an hour, it is a Category 3, and so on.
All right. Next week, we'll talk about global crisis. We'll air during this hour. And keep in mind, we'll be back for WeatherView. Keep in mind, we'll be back in 2 weeks with WeatherView. Next week, we'll have global crisis. In the meantime, the Days in 5-Day Business Planner is coming up right after WeatherView, so stay tuned. Thanks for joining us. I'm Liz Jarvis.
Where do you get the hands-on education companies are looking for? DeVry. Call now, 1-800-247-7800. DeVry. We're serious about success.
We'd like to make something perfectly clear. The two best-selling spray cleaners are not the same. One is clearly faster and better at removing tough, greasy dirt. Formula 409 spray cleaner. It's clearly better.
It was a hot, steamy night. Drains were clogged.
It's clearly better.
It was a hot, steamy night. Drains were clogged all over town.
Free tough guys.
Plumbing.
For clogs at their worst.
It is for you.
Liquid Plumber is the plumber to call first. To clear out tough clogs, call Liquid Plumber first.
Now stay tuned for the Days In 5-Day Business Planner. America's waking up 2 days ins. And we have rain. Moderate rain now falling at Astoria. You've had over ½ inch of rain at Quileute in Washington. This is a very strong little system coming in. It's going to bring periods of rain to Seattle and Portland, all the way down to Eugene during Monday. It doesn't look very big on the map here, but it's certainly the first big Pacific storm of the season, a little unusual this early in the season. There's your rain from Gilbert. In fact, believe it or not, some of that moisture from Gilbert will be scooting north into the provinces of Canada. Hey, we've talked about all that bad weather. Let's talk about some good weather now. Beautiful after the snow in Montana, Wyoming, Utah, looking marvelous. Pretty nice up there in New England, fall-type weather. Your overnight low temperatures on Monday morning will be in the 50s. How about some 20s out there? Even some teens. In fact, in a couple of spots in the Rockies where there's snow cover on the ground and the sky is clear tonight, Butte, Montana, Wisdom, Montana, out around Deadwood, Idaho, Stanley, Idaho, we might even see some single-digit readings. It was 11 degrees at Deadwood on Sunday morning. It was 14 degrees at Pinedale out there, or Lapine, pardon me, in Oregon hit 14 this morning. Here's your 90s for highs as we head on into Monday. Look at those 50s beginning to modify just a tad on Tuesday heading into northern Minnesota. That's a lot different than you've been having. And maybe with the 50s and 60s could be a hard freeze possibly Tuesday night or Wednesday morning around Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Maybe a possibility. Very chilly out there in the northwest, warming up a tad on Wednesday and Thursday, and for that matter into Friday. But the warmest air stays way south into California and along the Gulf Coast. There's moisture from Gilbert still hanging around. Can't seem to get rid of Gilbert, can we? But this is good rain as it moves northeast on Tuesday. Mountain snows in the Cascades, the Mount Shasta-Siskiyou area, the Trinity Alps of Northern California, down the Sierra on Wednesday. Quite a bit of rain, scattered showers, mountain snows in the Rockies on Wednesday with scattered thunder over to the southeast coast. Some pretty big rain set up on Thursday, we think, with mountain scattered showers and a big rain pattern probably develop on Friday from the Great Lakes back into Denver, Colorado. Now take a look at some local reports near your own hometown. Call about Days End's Simple Super Saver program. Restrictions do apply and Simple Super Saver rooms are limited, so call now. Here's Cindy.
Well, we still have a very impressive line of showers and thunderstorms running from northern Minnesota all the way down to Oklahoma City. We'll have a look at that on radar right after this.
Ben, here it is. Baton Rouge on the 12th, Little Rock on the 13th, Tampa on the 15th, Dayton and Columbus on the 17th.
Same day?
Same state. St. Louis on the 18th, New York on the 20th. Ben, stay in a nice place. Just don't overdo it. People notice that stuff.
Call Days In. America's waking up to us.
Nice job, Ben.
Thanks.
Call 800-325-2525 for reservations at Days Ends nationwide.
Time now to take a look at that week ahead. Dan Pope here along. Thanks for joining us here at the Weather Channel. Dan Pope along with Cindy Preszler taking a look at those storms heading through the mid-plains.
That's right, but first of all, we're going to check out the temperatures. It's very cool. Parts of Montana, we've got some cool weather in Idaho also. Line of showers and some snow up there too. We're expecting some frost in parts of Colorado tonight. It's going to be a chilly one. Now Tuesday's highs, you can see the cool weather, parts of Minnesota, not too bad across the north. By Wednesday, the 90s continue to fall right down here in Texas, parts of Georgia, down into Florida. When we got into Friday, we're going to skip right on through 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s across the south, typical of this time of the year. Rainfall, widely scattered, thunder showers and showers. East Coast will get most of the rain. And we've got a band coming out of the Rockies here, and you'll notice all this moves on to the east, back and through the plain states, around Iowa, back down to the south again. That'll be on Friday. Widely scattered showers, some heavier rain in the dark green, lighter showers along the mid-Atlantic states down to Florida.
Highlight your life with your own shining light. Highlight your hair with what's naturally there.
There and there, natural highlights, Helsa highlights, yours with Helsa Swedish Botanical Shampoo, marigold for blondes, ginger root for redheads, walnut leaves for brunettes.
Highlight
Bring out your own natural highlights with Helsa shampoos and conditioners. They're in there.
Business Travel Forecast is sponsored by United Airlines, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve.
We are a nation of business, and to bring us together, there is the airline of business. Throughout the U.S. and 13 foreign lands, the airline trusted by business travelers for a half-century and more. United Airlines, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve. Come fly the friendly skies.
Well, let's take a look at this evening's weather. First of all, we still have some rain falling across the Plain States. Some watches you need to be aware of. Also, we have some rain falling in through here, back down around the Oklahoma City area. Out west, a beautiful evening, clear skies, but never fear, here comes another storm system, a Pacific storm system that will bring some cooler temperatures and rain up there, which they need it. High pressure along out here in the mid-Atlantic states, but a few little showers in through the Carolinas. Cloud cover, lots of it. You see the white areas, lots of clouds. We've got them back up to the north. Also through the Pacific area here, Washington, Oregon, getting some cloud cover and some rain. Quileute, Washington, raining at this time. As far as rainfall totals from 24 hours over Texas, they've picked up quite a bit of rain. Mineral Wells, Del Rio, Texas, almost 4 inches at Abilene. And speaking of rain, the reason for that rain is area of low pressure that was once Hurricane Gilbert. Well, that continues to affect large portions of Texas and now Oklahoma too. Abilene was under flash flood watch Saturday and Sunday due to the heavy rains, and on Sunday 2 tornadoes touched down in the area, one at Lake Sweetwater and one at Escada. Both tornadoes caused some minor damage. And 3 new fires flared up in California. Wow, if we can go to that video. The largest, an 8,700 acre brush fire. That was 10 miles northwest of Vacaville. The fire started late Saturday night and quickly spread, destroying 4 homes and several outbuildings. The blaze is being called the Miller Fire, and was set by an arsonist. Officials have found an incendiary device which they believe was used to start the fire. 65 homes have been evacuated, but no injuries have been reported, fortunately. We still have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect until midnight for portions of Minnesota, South Dakota, and Nebraska. Another one until 1 o'clock in the morning down here in Kansas. And we still have some record lows. You can see Yakima, Oregon was down, very cool. Might be the same thing again tonight. Winter advisories out and through here. Snowfall back in the Cascades, higher elevations of the Rockies. And your current temperatures nice and cool on the backside of that front. They're getting some gusty winds in Colorado. Those winds will be dying down, and then the frost will appear on the western areas of Colorado tonight. 41 degrees in Wyoming. And look at that, Great Falls, 37 chilly degrees right now. Lots of rain to talk about. Let's go to our first radar stop if we could. This one on Sioux Falls. No, we're going to go south a little bit. This one goes to Grand Island, Nebraska. We do have a line of showers and some thunderstorms running from north all the way through, dissecting Nebraska down to the Kearney area. Grand Island getting some rain at this time, moving northeast to 30. Now we'll head north around Sioux Falls. As you can see, that line moving from Sisseton down to the Huron area. Also Brookings, Sioux Falls, Mitchell, Menno, Scotland, Freeman, all the way south around Yankton into the Vermilion area. Also moving to the northeast at 25 to 35. Next radar stop, this one goes down to Oklahoma City. You can see the rain still falling in this area. Some heavier amounts, all pushing to the northeast at 20.
If you suffer from any of these medical problems, a contour chair with optional heat and massage may help. I'm Art Linkletter, and I'm concerned about these health problems. That's why I want to mail you this free contour chair catalog. You see, contour chairs are orthopedically designed to provide the kind of firm support you need to help reduce pressure on your legs, thighs, hips, and back. And to raise your legs above your heart, all you have to do is press this button. If you're concerned about your health, get free facts by mail about Contour. Find out about the marvelous relaxation that comes from the proper positioning of your body. Let me mail you this free Contour chair catalog, filled with details on the health benefits Contour chairs provide. Call me to get this important free information by mail now.
Call 1-800-247-6600. That's 1-800-247-6600, toll free. Call 1-800-247-6600.
Well, this rush hour's really gotten off to a bad start. Leaving town to the south, I-75 backed up from Grand Avenue all the way to 14th Street. Construction on the Grand Avenue overpass, the culvert here. To the north, 90 east is a real mess. We've got an overturned truck across all 4 lanes at 200th Street that's turned the East Shoreway into a parking lot all the way back to town. And if you're taking...
When you're ready to get away, we're ready for you. Stover Grand Beach Resort, St. Thomas, the Virgin Islands.
Call your travel agent or 1-800-HOTELS-1.
Highlight your life with your own shining light. Highlight your hair with what's naturally there.
There and There, natural highlights, Halsa highlights. Yours with Halsa Swedish Botanical Shampoo. Marigold for blondes, ginger root for redheads, walnut leaves for brunettes.
Highlight your life.
Bring out your own natural highlights with Halsa shampoos and conditioners. There and There.
I've been looking all over for this terrific video cassette I heard about. It's called The All-New Not-So-Great Moments in Sports. There's scenes where Daryl Dawkins renovates NBA backboards.
That's a fantastic video. The all-new Not-So-Great Moments in Sports is 45 minutes of the funniest film I've ever seen.
Great, so you have it.
No store has this version, but you get it free with your paid subscription to Sports Illustrated. You get 25 weeks of SI, including the Pro Football Preview, the beautiful swimsuit issue, the Summer Olympic Special issue, the commemorative Olympic pin set,
And the all-new Not-So-Great Moments in Sports?
You get it all. Just call Sports Illustrated's toll-free number and you'll get SI for over 47% off the cover price. Just 3 monthly installments of $9.89 each. You can even use a credit card.
I gotta get to a phone. What's that number again?
Here, 1-800-284-9595.
Hi, have you heard of a video cassette called The All-New Not-So-Great Moments in Sports?
Programming of the Weather Channel is protected under the copyright laws of the United States and is intended solely for the use of our subscribers. Reproduction or other use of this programming without the express written permission of the network is prohibited.
It's time now for your national forecast. And indeed, we have ourselves moisture from Hurricane Gilbert still moving north. Now it's getting caught up in a low pressure, which is heading towards Canadian province territory. Nevertheless, you're going to see some rain in Chicago. You're already getting it. Midday Monday, rain to Detroit and Cleveland and out towards Columbus, Ohio. Even maybe Toledo getting some rain as this cold front maneuvers its way. Some backwash showers in Minnesota. Up the East Coast, a pretty good day, but how about out west? Surprise, surprise, yes indeed. Pacific weather system, the first of the season to scoot on through. This one is already bringing moderate, even sometimes occasionally moderate to heavy rains in Quileute and down towards Hoquiam and into Astoria. And you'll probably see mountain snows. I believe your snow level will be up around 4,000 feet. Nevertheless, you could find 6 or 12 inches in some cases up around Mount Hood or even up around Mount Rainier, those normally favored spots. Very chilly tonight with clearing skies. Some places in the Rockies that have a little snow cover could be down in the single digits. For the most part, though, 20s and 30s for lows. Highs in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s down there in the south. 90s in Texas. Oh, what a nice day in New England. Highs there in the 70s. Now you want to know more? Here's your local forecast.